Okay, now the story gets really, really interesting. I'm going to convert this statement about time into our BC AD terms because this is the proper place to do it. In terms of years from Adam, make sure this is lined up right, 2046 from Adam is when Abram matures. In our BC AD terms, that's 2060 BC. 2060 BC is when Isaac is born. Alright? So there's a very interesting 14-year difference. 14 is a very prominent number in Psalm 90. There's a 14-year difference between our BC AD terms and the years from Adam. That's just a mathematical, what do you want to call it? Interesting point in math. But I want you to know that we're starting this at 2060 BC. Alright? So in 2060 BC, and then you've still got the 54-year credit, but that's going to play afterwards. In 2060 BC, that is when Isaac is born. Now, because Abram has his own 490, and because this is 2060 BC and it's 54 years early, there's a cutoff of the deadline for somebody else to mature. It doesn't, again, just like it was short here, so it's going to be short here. So somebody else has to super mature before Abram's 490 ends or time ends. Alright, now the person who does that, and it probably, Isaac might have super matured also, but the poster boy being tracked by the Bible is Joseph. Now Joseph super matures in what would be considered 1917 or 1916 BC. It's within 6 months. I haven't been able to track the exact month yet. Now, at that point, or was it 1917, let me do the math. Because the Exodus is based on this, alright? Whoops, wait a minute. I'm sorry, it's 1930. It's not 1917, it's 1930. 1930 BC is when Joseph super matures, and he's only 30 at the time. Okay? Or 17. It's when he goes into slavery, he's 17 years old. So, kind of like the David will be, Joseph matures at a very early age. So he super matures enough for God to actually use his 490 to take you to the Exodus. Now, I don't know how we're going to color in. I think I'm going to leave this without color right now because the next big voting window that Psalm 90 tracks and that's really important is this one. This one is Moses. Oh, by the way, Joseph means twice. 2 times, double portion, firstborn. He's treated as a firstborn even though he wasn't the firstborn because he super matured. Okay, and this time we have Moses. Now, the word Moshe is not a Hebrew word. It's an Egyptian word. It was the moniker of the 18th dynasty of Egypt. And it means drawn from the water, and that's an idiom for a gift of Isis. The only dynasty in Egypt that used the Moses moniker was the 18th dynasty. Okay? Or they were the first one to use it. Okay, so Moses votes during this 70-year period. And that's being tracked in Psalm 90. And of course, he's writing it. Specifically, that's in Psalm 90, verses 12 through 15. Alright, so during the voting period, from 1930 BC until we get to 1440 BC, notice that that's 490 years, Moses is the one who voted during the period. And this is when the Exodus happens. Okay? So, you know, I've already used the blue. We'll call Israel green. Alright, 1440 BC. This isn't drawn to scale. This is when the Exodus happens. Alright? Now, when the Exodus happens, the 490 shifts to Israel at that point because it's Israel's birthday. And at 1440 BC, then you're going to count 490 to take you to, let's see, how do we want to do this? 2060 to 1440 is about 600 years. It's not drawn to scale. Let me pause the video and figure out how I'm going to draw this. This is a very dramatic story, as you can see.